All right. I am excited for my guest today, a right-handed pitcher in the Oakland Athletics organization, signed back in 2021. Aaron, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, right off the bat, I got to talk to you about this because I did some digging. Credit to me, and I
Mhm.
found out you're also a YouTuber. I saw a video that you and your sister had posted maybe a year or two ago, um, for your dad.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
I gotta know, like, if I'm ever running for something, are you gonna be able to make me a video? Like, I need to know if I have you on my team.
Sure. If you if you end up running, I'll be happy to make you a video.
So what went behind that? I was curious. I like to do some research. So I was kind of just scrolling through, seeing like what I can find, and I
Mhm.
found that video. Like, whose idea was that?
That was mine. So yeah, a couple back in 2020, my dad ran for office, and so we wanted to make a video supporting our dad
Yeah.
and everything, and that's what we kind of construed it up. Some fun facts about him. So it was fun to make, and I actually so me and my sister we recorded it ourselves, and then I edited it. It was during COVID, so I was there's no games. I wasn't at
Mhm.
school. I was just like I was just home doing online work, so we had a lot of free time on our hands. So
No, cool. And that was funny. I watched it. I'm like, okay, cool,
yeah.
nice. So do you ever have any plans on doing your own like YouTube channel, any content creating? I know there's some minor leaguers who have podcasts out there, like the Compound.
Mhm.
Aiden, one of your
Yeah.
teammates, he has his own YouTube channel. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Um, not as of yet. Sometimes I've put a couple of videos on TikTok, but just videos of me pitching, not like real full blown content. Um, just trying to focus on playing and getting better right now. And I'm not too. I like making videos, but I'm not quite to that standard yet.
No, I feel that. I respect that though. You got to start small though.
Yeah,
You got
for
to start
sure.
small. Let's talk about spring training and off
Mhm.
season. How's that been for you?
The preseason and spring training and everything was great. It was my first spring training,
Mhm.
and I was really excited for. Didn't know what to expect exactly, because when you sign, you go to Arizona and you're in rookie ball and everything like that. But so you have your teammates around, but in spring training, you have all the minor leaguers in that organization, all the coaches. So it's a lot different than just uh, you know like it was in rookie ball. So they're like 100 or so more players. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it was really organized and it was fun. You get done a little earlier in the day, which is nice. So you have like the afternoon and the evenings to do what you want, and it was good. It was a good time.
For sure. Did you ever like pinch yourself or think like, I'm finally here in spring training, like first spring training, I'm finally a professional baseball player.
Yeah, so those thoughts run through your mind at times, and it definitely is. Like sometimes you do take a step back and you realize, wow, this is like an amazing opportunity and it's really cool. But at the same time, I don't like to focus on, uh, you know, thinking about that too much. I just like to focus on, okay, this is what I have to do for this day to get better, or this is what I have to do to execute. Just because the bigger the thoughts get in your head, the more your mind wanders and takes you off the goals that you have right in front of you. So yeah, definitely there's times to reflect, but also sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you just like to focus on the task at hand.
No, for sure. I respect that. I saw that you work out at Diesel Fitness in Tampa.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so is that where you go for most of your off seasons? I know you've only had one, I guess. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I've been training there since college, since after my sophomore year of college. I started training at Diesel. I was like 178 pounds, and then one off season I went up to 195.
nice.
So they definitely helped me put on a lot of muscle. They've really changed not only like my body, but my lifestyle. They've taught me so many things. It's really there's a lot of players that work out there. It's a great community, and I'm so very thankful for Diesel for all they've done.
Yeah, I was reading guys like Judge, Remuto, Clevenger, all these
Mhm.
guys work out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's kind of hard to like just walk up to them and kind of pick their brain. But do you ever get an opportunity to talk to any of them, just kind of pick their brain about some of the things that they've done to get to the majors?
Yeah, we all have our workout times in the kind of the early morning, and a lot of the big league guys have always been very helpful to me, especially Brad Miller, who's now with the Rangers. He's probably one the nicest guy I've met. Carlos Carrasco is also another great guy, and it's nice to have that community of ball players around, to help pick their brains about stuff. Whether it's life in the minors or just real technical baseball things to pick up on and everything. And I'm very thankful for it to what the knowledge they have passed on to me.
For sure, for sure. All right, so let's take it back to when you were little. At what point did you start playing baseball, and at what point did you realize you were good enough to possibly make something out of it?
hmm I've probably been playing baseball since I was 4 or 5. Just whenever my parents signed me up
Mhm.
and for little league, and I fell in love with it right away. And to be honest, like especially when I was really young, I wasn't the best player, and I always always was kind of a late bloomer. I just always kept on getting better and things like that. I really fell in love with the work of it. I love going to the gym. I love, I used to hit, obviously. I love spending time in the cage or, do what I need to do to be a better pitcher or fielder, whatever it was when I was younger. So in that, so I feel like I just kind of worked super hard to get where I am. Um, and when I realized I could probably potentially become a pro player, I never, I just never try to overthink it. I
Mhm.
just try to take everything one step at a time. Um, you know, going to college, playing Division I baseball, you start to see the separators and everything like that. So,
For sure. So you mentioned that you were hitting. Obviously, you pitched and hit. What was your favorite position to play before you became like a full time pitcher?
well, my freshman year of high school, I played second base a little bit,
All
but that
right.
was very short lived. Um, but I like the infield. Yeah, second base, third base, shortstop, little like corner outfield. Um, it was all fun, but I was always just a better pitcher. Yeah.
So who told you that you got to start pitching full time? Was it like your coach was like, "Look, man, like we're gonna do pitching now. No more second base for you."
I think so. It was after my freshman year of high school. I made varsity my freshman year, um, and I played a little bit of second base, pitched just a little bit, just because they didn't want they don't want to burn out your arm, especially when you're
Mhm.
that young. And then after that year, it was basically my high school coach. He basically was just like, you should focus on pitching. And he was right. And the game became a lot easier once I started to do that because then you wanted to play in college. And, it's so hard to be a two-way player in college. So like anything, if you try to focus on a million things at once,
Right.
it's better to be very good at one thing than be mediocre at, multiple things. So
So
once I focused on pitching, it took off even more.
so when he told you this, were you like, "Look, coach, I can do this," or was it okay? Like I see what you're saying. Like I'll focus on this pitching.
I mean, of course, like you're a little bummed out at
Yeah.
first because you're like, "Oh, I've hit all my life, and
Uh-huh.
now," yeah. But I mean, I guess I figured it would have happened eventually, just because I've, I was just always a lot better at pitching than I was hitting. So it was like it stung for a few days, and then I was like, "All right, let's get to work."
Did you play any other sports, or was it pretty much baseball's like your thing?
Pretty much baseball. I mean, I played basketball a little growing up, and just like the rec leagues and everything like that. And then, so when I grew up until fifth grade in Connecticut. So spring and summer you play baseball, you play fall ball a little bit, and then in winter you play basketball. Because it's cold
Mhm.
outside. And then in the middle of fifth grade, I moved to Florida, where you play baseball. You can play
All
baseball all year round. So it was, I monitored, when I was younger, how much I would throw. You don't want to throw all year round, especially when you're 12, years old. But uh, I felt like, some people say, "Oh, you should play a bunch of different sports," and I feel like some kids can do that. But
right.
for me, I felt like, to get to where I am, I needed to focus. all on baseball. I mean, it's one thing if you can play pickup basketball or, do other things on the side with your friends. But for me in particular, I felt focusly or focusing solely on baseball, got helped me get to where I'm at.
Sure. And all right, so in high school, you played for coach Wade Boggs was one of your coaches.
Yes.
So how was that experience getting to play with one of like a Hall of Famer and like a just absolute stud player as you're one of your coaches? Do you ever get just like how was that first like meeting with him?
Yeah, so it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. Yeah, you go in freshman year, and I remember trying out for the team, and he's the one hitting fungos, to all the people, at the positions, and you're like, holy cow, like Wade Boggs is hitting me, fungos for my tryout, and so that's like nerve wracking at the beginning. But over the years, it was awesome to pick his brain. Even though I stopped hitting, I mean, the guy's knowledge on
Mhm.
baseball is endless. So, and it was great asking him questions about pitching, how to attack pitchers or attack hitters rather.
Yeah.
So, the guy is one of the, the greatest hitters of all time. So if you can ask, one of the greatest hitters of all time, what hitters struggle with,
Mhm.
that was just things to, put in the filing cabinet upstairs and, just pick his brains about different things. And I mean, it was just awesome. I mean, how not too many kids can say, "Oh,
Yeah.
my high school coach was, Wade Boggs, and Major League Baseball Hall of Famer."
Yeah.
So
Was he the head coach or an assistant
he,
coach there?
he was an assistant coach. Our head coach, Coach Hoffman, he actually just retired this past year. He was there for around 18 or 19 years, and so it was, our whole coaching staff was always great. So.
Mhm. So did Wade Boggs ever tell any like stories in the major from his time in the majors? Did he have or any good coach? Do you have any good coaching stories
Coaching stories?
from Wade Boggs? Like, did he ever do anything you were like, wow, man, he's such a great coach, or maybe
Oh
just
man.
any interactions?
Yeah, so I mean, he would tell us, some funny stories. Just I can't think of anything in particular off the top of my head, just because it's been a couple of years. But yeah, he would tell us. We'd ask him about players he played against,
Yeah.
or awesome stories from a World Series or an All Star game, and so it was cool. Like he's met all the big time. He is a big time player, so it's so it's kind of weird asking him about another big time player, but it was, yeah, he definitely had a lot of stories. Trying to think.
I know he was very superstitious as a
Mhm.
player.
Oh yeah,
Did any of that carry over as a coach?
1,000%, 1,000%. So it was funny. I think it was my senior year. Me and my friend Drew, who's actually a player at the University of Tampa, is one of my best friends. So we would, him and a couple other of our teammates, we'd go to Chick-fil-A before every single game in high school, go out to school, get food, and we would see him a lot in the in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A. So he would still eat his chicken every day.
Mhm.
Um, he would we had this thing. It was called, he had a rope, and he'd walk around during stretch before the game, and had all of us pull on the rope, and that was our way of symbolizing, you know, you're bringing each other up. If someone's down, you pull the
Mhm.
rope, and like you're bringing them back up. So yeah, he did a lot of superstitious things. Very a lot of time management. Try to take infield at the same time, and it definitely passed on to me, like especially
Yeah.
during different um, phases and whatnot in high school. I'd make sure I wore my socks the same. I'd eat the
Mhm.
same food before the game. Just little things like that. Definitely trickled down.
Do you still have any like superstitions now as a pro player, like that you kind of kept on or maybe develop new ones?
Um, Trying to think. Not much. At times, I would I would if I had a good game and I ate something before the game or the night before, I try to eat the same thing,
Mhm.
um, and until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But then I don't have any superstitions right now. I just try to, but there's something to be, have the same routine.
Mhm.
So, it's good about good about getting in routines, and that really helps, especially with a long season. You don't want to be having to change things up constantly, and it's good to be have a routine.
Yeah. So, Florida, like you had talked about year round, like
Mhm.
people play baseball, like it produces a ton of talent
Right.
throughout the state. How good was your team in like comparison to like all the other guys in Florida?
My high school team, we were pretty good. We won our district my junior and senior year. We didn't always have like the biggest recruits or or draft picks or anything on our team. In Tampa itself, Tampa high school baseball is like such a hub for you're getting your top D1 guys, you're getting guys drafted in the early rounds every year. I think my sophomore year we played Plant High School in a district playoff game, and they had what would end up being 3 first-round picks on that team, 2 from that year, Kyle Tucker, who's now obviously a
Yeah.
great player with the Astros, Jake Woodford, who's a big leaguer with the Cardinals, and then I think Connor Scott, I think is his name, who was a freshman at the time, but he ended up being a first rounder his senior year too. So there's a lot of talent. So we didn't always have that flashy talent, but we were always just coached so well, and we played, such like so good as a team. So we were, we always were pretty good, and it was a fun environment to be around.
Yeah, and you just named off like players who are like stud players, and like I
Yeah.
said, Florida produces so many good players, especially
Oh
that
yeah.
Tampa area. Yeah. So, how was your recruiting process? Obviously, you went to is it Fairleigh? Am I pronouncing that?
Fairleigh Dickinson. Yeah.
Yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson. How was the recruiting process? Were there any other schools that you were interested in? I know you mentioned your friend went to Tampa University of Tampa.
Mhm.
Were there any JUCOs that you were looking into?
Not so much junior colleges. I mean, it was like I said earlier. I've always kind of been a late bloomer, so
Okay.
sometimes in Florida it's hard getting recruited. If you're not throwing 90 miles an hour in high
Right.
school, then the big state schools aren't going to want you. So I kind of had to look elsewhere. So it just happened to be that way. And I was recruited by Justin McKay, one of my coaches at Fairleigh Dickinson, my senior year, and uh, that's where I ended up going.
Awesome. And how was your time there at Fairleigh?
It was all right. I mean, we didn't really have that great. There was not a lot of winning going on. But I made a lot of good friends along the way, and ended up getting a degree. So you know
Yeah,
that.
you got a degree in poli sci. I mean, when your career is over, years from now down the future, is that something you might want to get into, like politics and stuff?
Um, I don't know. I find it interesting. It's especially interesting to study. It gives you a good aspect not only on how government works, but how it works on a global scale. A lot of international relations, um, you know, and global politics. So I found that very interesting, and it's important, information to know.
Mhm.
How the world works.
Yeah.
Whether I get into it or not, uh, probably not. It's very, no matter what side you're on, 50% of the people aren't going to like you.
Yeah.
So it's not the you know
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't,
hard thing to get into. Like
yeah,
you talked about, like no matter what you do, people are gonna hate you, people are gonna
yeah,
love you, but it takes a special person to do that. So,
for sure.
you obviously didn't get drafted, but you were signed by Oakland not too
Mhm.
long after. Were there any other teams interested in you? And how did that whole thing come about?
So I was playing summer ball. I wasn't sure if the signing with Oakland was going to work out or not, but I was playing summer ball in Saugerties, New York, for the Saugerties Stallions. They're very proud to be a stallion.
Mhm.
Um,
And
and
you won the championship, right?
Yeah, we won the championship. I actually signed a couple days, uh, or I had to fly out right as we were getting into the playoffs. So I actually missed the semifinal and the championship because I was, or maybe I think, or maybe it was just the championship. But regardless, because I had to fly out to Arizona. So yeah, it was a couple weeks after the draft, and they reached out, and I was very thankful for the opportunity, and it was a great moment to get the phone call, and then it was awesome to fly there. It all happened so quick. One day I'm in New York playing summer ball, and then the next day I'm flying out to Arizona to become a member of the Oakland A's.
Yeah. Were there other teams interested in you, or did the A's just kind of offer you the best deal, or was it pretty much just Oakland? And I mean, obviously, it's a team that
Hmm.
you're happy. I'm actually a huge A's fan. I grew up in Oakland area,
Oh,
so
really?
like, yeah. So I'm awesome to hear that you're part of this organization.
Yeah, it was pretty much just the A's. And so, but I'm incredibly grateful,
Mhm.
for the opportunity they give me. Um, you know, this organization is second to none, and just everybody from the coaching staffs, all around trainers, teammates, everything is awesome, and they do a great job developing players. As
Mhm.
you can see, year in and year out, they put out a winning team. So.
Yeah, no, for sure, and they're consistently. I think prior to last year, they had 3, 4 straight playoff appearances, and then
Exactly.
they had a couple years off, and then before that, they had a couple of years of playoffs. So they're consistently a
Mhm.
good team.
Right.
So this podcast is sponsored by Durham Sports
Yep.
Crypto Project, connecting sports and entertainment with cryptocurrency. They sponsored I think, over 80 minor leaguers
Yeah.
now. One is you.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So it happened during spring training. I came back in the locker room one day. We were about to end the day, and one of my locker mates, I think he was two lockers down, Austin Briggs, who's one of our left-hand pitchers in the
Yeah.
organization. Uh, he's very much involved in all types of cryptocurrency, NFTs. I think him and Aiden have started their own NFT project.
Mhm.
So he was close with the people who are running Durham. So he was telling us about what they were offering, a $500 sponsorship. Excuse me, $500 sponsorship and everything. So of course, once we,
Yeah.
us minor leaguers here, $500, we're like,
Mhm.
what's going on? So he taught us all how to sign up, um, and how to pass it along to other guys that may need the sponsorship. So I filled out the application, submitted a video thanking them, and I was able to receive the money, which helped out greatly. Especially we don't get paid during spring
Mhm.
training, um, so it definitely helped. You know with the
No,
cost.
for sure. Yeah, like I said, they sponsored over 80 minor league
Mhm.
players. They're doing a great job, kind of reaching out and taking that role because
Yeah.
there's obviously minor leaguers, like you said, don't get paid during the off season. They don't get paid during spring training, and then
Mhm.
when you do get paid, it's not like you're getting paid major league money. You're getting paid
Right.
less than minimum wage, right? I don't need to tell you that.
Yeah.
Uh, and so yeah, so I'm excited to see what they're doing. More than baseball, Adopt a Minor Leaguer, and
Mhm.
other great organizations out
For sure.
there sponsoring and being like an advocate for minor leaguers. Like I said, they sponsor this podcast. I love what they're doing. On this podcast, I like to talk to minor leaguers about some of their experiences. I know you kind of just started in the
Mhm.
minors, but do you have any like funny minor league stories?
Oh boy. Trying to think. Not like anything that you would hear like the folk tales about the minor league
Mhm.
baseball or anything. um I mean, just the funny stories, having fun with your teammates on the bus, and just laughing along the way, and everything. Nothing crazy. No war stories yet.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's still early. Your
Yeah,
first full season in. We're getting started. We'll have to have you back on, and later on we'll see if we have any
absolutely.
more. But I've heard crazy stories like going to the hotel and they don't even have their reservation, or going to the
Yeah.
hotel and the lights are out in the
Yeah.
whole hotel, or just these janky hotels that they go to and they
Mhm.
kind of house you guys in. You talked about traveling. Obviously, you play in California, so you're going up and down the coast.
Right.
So you have to go all the way down to what's the furthest you guys drive? I know like Southern California has a couple teams out there.
Yeah, so we just got back last night, like 2 a.m. from Southern California. We were in San Bernardino playing
Oh wow.
the Angels affiliate,
Mhm.
and then that's about the furthest we go. We go down there. We go to Rancho Cucamonga, which is like, I think, just like 15 minutes from San Bernardino. So we'll go back down there in like 3 weeks, and then we go to Lake Elsinore, which is I think a little more south. of those two teams, but not by much. So we go down there. We play each team. We play the Southern California teams. I think once at their place, once at our place. But then so I only have to go down there 2 more times, and then they come to us as well.
So what do you do on these long bus drives that keep yourself entertained? Like, are you what do you a podcast guy? You read books? What do you do?
A little bit, some podcasts. I watched some Office.
There you go.
I watched on the way down there. I watched The Founder, which is the movie about how they started the McDonald's Corporation and stuff. Because the first McDonald's was in San Bernardino. So I figured, it'd be cool to watch this, while I go down there.
Mm-hmm.
I FaceTime my girlfriend, call my parents, or just like kind of listen to music and just kind of look out the window. Whatever you can do
like I said, it's a grind in the minor leagues. It's a grind, an absolute grind. You're driving 7-8 hours in a bus to San Bernardino or wherever you're going down there, and then you got to go all the way back. You mentioned you got back at 2 a.m. I mean, that's just right there in itself. It shows like what kind of grind it is in being in the minors. Have you gone to any cities? I know like you're in California, but have you gone to any cities or played, whether in Arizona or California, where you're like, where am I? Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
It's not so much the cities that you play in where you feel like the middle of nowhere, but usually when you stop on the way to those cities, like, last night we stopped in, I don't even know where we stopped, but it was like, just a rest stop that had like a Burger King and a Subway and gas. So, those are the moments you're like, wow, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the cities that we play in, they're usually fine. So far, I've only been to San Jose, Fresno, and San Bernardino. So
right on. For sure. Have you had any like funny fan interactions? Like, I've had guys tell me like they've had a fan ask them to sign their backs or sign their necks or sign their foreheads, or just like random things they'll shout out at them. Because like in minor leagues, a lot of these stadiums are so small and you can hear everything when you're out there.
Yeah, so especially being in the bullpen, you get the brunt of it. Whether it's the fans who've had a little too much on the dollar beer nights, or all of the kids wanting to get baseballs and stuff like that. The hecklers is one thing. You just kind of forget about it. The kids can be interesting. You feel bad because we don't have endless supply of baseballs like they do in the big leagues, so we can't give them all away. If we get a foul ball, we'll flip it up. Sometimes the kids can ask funny questions. Like this past weekend, we're sitting in the bullpen, full uniform, and a kid comes up to us and asks us if we're scouts.
What do you ask you?
If we're scouts. Like, are you guys scouts?
While you're in the bullpen,
yeah,
are you guys scouts?
Yeah, it's like, no, we're players. We're getting ready for to go into the game. So sometimes it can be interesting.
So you mentioned that you guys get the brunt of it being in the bullpen. Like, is there any like chirps that you hear where you're like, wow, I gotta respect that? That was actually kind of funny.
Let's see. Not so much. Not so far. I think that sometimes they think the chirpers can be a lot. They think they're a lot funnier than they are.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any chirped too bad. So.
So when this happens, like when you're in the bullpen, do you have to like bite your tongue to not be like to say something back? I mean, because obviously you're just there, they're chirping away, like you said, dollar beer nights, like it can get pretty crazy.
Yeah, not so much bite your tongue. Sometimes you come back, runs to your head, and you're like, but nothing crazy, because especially in today's day and age, if you say anything back, I'm sure they have their phone ready, and they will go out on the internet in a minute. So, no, they're just having fun. Sometimes, they'll heckle you for an inning or two, and then, they'll say, hey, you've been a good sport. Like,
okay.
So, yeah, nothing too bad.
So, when you're not playing, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do to entertain yourself? Do you golf, Call of Duty, Fortnite, read?
Mhm. I usually just kick back and relax. Like today, we had an off day. I was, super exhausted, so I just kind of been catching up on some laundry. Eating, a lot of more food. Staying hydrated and stuff. Today, I do like to golf every now and again. I haven't golfed in a couple months, but it's fun. It's fun to get out there. I like to watch movies and stuff like that, whether it's, Star Wars, or I'm a big fan of like The Office. So I'll watch,
Mhm.
I'll just binge watch, shows or stuff
Yeah.
like that.
How many times through have you watched The Office?
Oh man, I don't know. It's probably eight or so, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know, it's
Wow.
kind of like now I just kind of put it on Comedy Central,
Yeah.
and just like they're always like have it on. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's inconsistent, like how much I'm watching it, or like when it
Right.
picks off and leads off. But yeah, it's always on usually.
Right on. Okay, so you obviously play for Stockton, the Ports.
Mhm.
The A's have a good farm system, especially now with all the wheeling and dealing that they've done.
Mhm.
In that locker room, who's like the glue guy or like the funny guy who keeps like everything kind of light?
Oh man. Hmm. We've only been together a couple weeks,
That's fair.
but Danny Bautista, one of our outfielders, who's also from Tampa. I played against him I think it was maybe my sophomore year of high school. Uh, because he went to a local high school in Tampa too. He's always he's in charge of this
Music?
area, yeah, the music. He's always in charge of the music. He's always cracking a joke here and there. So he likes to keep it light for sure.
Okay, so you mentioned you played him in high school. Like, was his team pretty good or no?
Yeah, they won the state championship, I think, my sophomore year. So
Okay, so he kind of lets you know. Does he ever let you know, like, hey man, we
no, not really. I mean, we just think it's so funny how we played against each other in high school, and then now we're like teammates in professional baseball, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool to say.
No, for sure, absolutely. And like I said, you're in Stockton. Hopefully, you come up to the Midwest
Hmm.
here. What is it? Is it Lansing? No,
Yeah,
where is it
yeah,
at? Yeah,
yeah. The
Lansing.
Lansing Lugnuts,
The
that's
Lugnuts.
our high. So
Yeah, because then that way I can see you play here in the Midwest. Because
yes,
I grew up in the Bay.
okay.
Now I'm in Wisconsin, and obviously Beloit. I believe they play in Beloit. You actually lucked out because
Mhm.
they used to be the A's used to be in Beloit, and at
Yeah,
that time, like that stadium was absolute trash.
yeah.
Uh, they just built a new one. Not I
Okay,
think this is their first like inaugural year.
mhm.
And shout out to them for building a sweet stadium. I was just there last Saturday. It's actually really nice.
Oh wow.
But yeah, when the Oakland A's were in Beloit, like it was bad, man.
I've heard that Beloit was very cold, so I'm lucky to
Yeah.
be out here in sunny California, to say the least.
No, you're right for sure. Because I went out there last week and everyone was in like heavy jackets, and I had
Yeah,
a hoodie on, and I'm like, I was freezing, and I'm like, okay, obviously the move in early April or mid-April, I guess, when I was out there is to bundle up because yeah, and here, dude, it
yeah.
snowed like the day before I went out there. Like it's still like we're having crappy weather here.
Yeah, that's insane. I've had my fair share of cold baseball games playing in New Jersey in college, so don't miss those days.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming on. I do appreciate you taking your time. Like I said, I got to get you out to the Midwest.
Yep.
We'll start the campaign. Free Aaron, get him over here to the Midwest. Get out of the California League over here in Lansing. Yeah, Lansing,
Yep.
and we'll be able to get see you there. And when you come down, we'll have to hang out or something.
Yeah, for
We'll
sure.
go golfing. I don't golf, but I'll pretend.
Yeah.
Um, for sure. All right, Aaron, you have a great rest of your night, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna hold you to that. And like I said, I need you to be my video guy.
Yep.
Make me some videos. Hype up the podcast if you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I got you.
All right, I appreciate that. All right, you have a great rest of your night, man.
You too. Take
All
care.
right. Yep.